So go ahead and turn in your grammar pages to 115. 115. Yeah, so 8 days of snow. I remember that happening a couple years ago. I don't think it was last year. I think it was maybe 3 years ago. And pretty much the whole town of Tehachapi just basically decided to hunker down and stay indoors. So that was kind of interesting. By the way, my internet is being weird today. I don't know if you've noticed, it looks like I'm pausing every once in a while. So let me know if you need me to repeat anything. It's almost like the internet is preparing for snow or something. Drives me crazy. Like, this is 2023, people. You would think our internet would be locked in, solid, no problem. But no, there's a cloud in the sky. So we gotta have issues. That's basically what's happening. Okay. Adverb clause. And is this, yes, 115. So we're talking about the adverb clause. We know about adverbs, ly adverbs in our writing. We use those, with our dress up words. This is actually a clause. So, and you know that we've talked about this before, the www.asia. You guys remember that acronym before? Okay, good. So an adverb clause is a group of words that begins with a www word and contains a subject and a verb. An adverb clause is a dependent clause, which means it must be added to a sentence that is already complete. And here is the acronym. Hold on just a second here. Okay. Had to check something really quick. The www word is called a subordinating conjunction. The acronym www.asia.b reminds us of the 8 most common subordinating conjunctions. When, while, where, as, since, if, although, because. These are not the only words that begin an adverb clause. Other words can function as www words too. These words, after, before, until, unless, whenever, whereas, and than, those can also function as a subordinate conjunction in an adverb clause. So a www word must have a subject and a verb after it to begin an adverb clause. And the way we mark these is with parentheses, kind of like how we do with the that clause and the who, which clause. Now we're adding the adverb clause. Place parentheses around the adverb clause and write AC above the www word, write V above the verb and S above the subject. The stranger would cross unless Robin stopped him. And here we have the parentheses and we label it with the AC, and then we label the subject verb pair within that adverb clause. Another little rule to keep in mind is the comma rule. So here, commas, it says after, not before. So if the adverb clause comes first, then you need a comma. If it comes after the main clause, no comma. Like in this example, after the main clause, no comma here. All right. And then there's adverb clause or prepositional phrase. So we already just talked about the adverb clause, and you already know about the prepositional phrase. But here's the thing. Some of those same words are in both. So you have to pay attention to how the word is being used in the sentence. So these words usually begin an adverb clause when, while, where, as, since, if, although, because. That's www.asia.b. But then look at this next row here. This is those extra words we just talked about. After, before, until, unless, whenever, whereas, when, than. Notice the bold. Okay. Those words are in both adverb clauses and prepositional phrases. So here it says these words usually begin prepositional phrases. Here's another list. You guys have this list on another page, your prepositions, and you'll see the ones that are bolded after, as, because of, before, since, until. Those words can also be an Asia word. So it's really, it depends on how it's used in the sentence. Notice because of, and that's the prepositional phrase, but the word because is listed up here in the adverb clause. All right, it's just telling you this here. The words after, as, because, before, since, and until appear in both lists. When you mark the sentences, consider the patterns. So here's the pattern down here at the bottom for the adverb clause. The pattern is the www word comes first, or it says before, plus the subject, they, plus the verb. So here, before they met is an adverb clause. The example says, before they met, Robin won every fight. The adverb clause has to have a verb. So that's a little trick you can remember, because adverb has a verb. So think of verb when you hear adverb, okay? And when you have a verb in there, that makes it an adverb clause. Then the prepositional phrase, before the fight, Robin was undefeated. Before the fight is a prepositional phrase. So you've got the preposition before, then a noun, fight, but no verb. So the prepositional phrase has the noun and the adverb clause has the verb. So are you guys good? Because I look up every once in a while and it looks like I look weird because of my internet. Can you guys hear me okay? You're good? Okay. Does it like pause and then I talk really fast and catch up to where I am? Is that what it's doing? Oh, okay. All right, annoying, but sorry. We'll just have to get through it. Okay, page 117. Practice that page together. Any volunteers to read this sentence today? I know, Bronx, I know you usually do, but you don't have to today. How about Abby? Would you mind reading it for us today? Or did you want to, Bronx?
I don't have my grammar book, but I guess I can read it what I see on the screen.
Oh, Abby, do you want Bronx to read it? We'll let you read it, Bronx. Okay, yeah, you can read it on the screen. Are you guys, where's your grammar book, by the way?
I misplaced it.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
What in the world? Is it in your bedroom, maybe under your dirty clothes or something like that?
I checked everywhere.
Okay, I have a question for you, because I had this with my kids. I would say, did you use your hands when you looked?
Yes.
Okay, keep looking with your hands, because I bet it's underneath something. Yeah, that's not good, Bronx. You got to find it today, okay? I want you to find your grammar book. How about your binder? Do you have that?
Yeah, I have my binder.
Okay. All right. So, yep, make sure you find it and then keep it on a shelf or something so you know where it's at, like every time.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sure you've heard that from your parents. So I'm just going to reiterate that as your teacher. So there you go. All right. Go ahead and read the sentence, Bronx.
After an hour, neither had budged an inch. Both stood where they had begun.
Okay, good. So actually this one's budged. It's a kind of a word we don't use very often, but to budge or not budge means to not move, right? So to budge means to move even just a tiny bit. I think of like football, you know, and right when they're ready to start the play, if anybody budges even the slightest little bit, it's either offsides or false start or something like that. So you can't move at all, right? You got to stay really still. Okay, so budged means to move, even if it's just a very slight move. Okay, Articles, you know what to do here. Whoops. This should be Anne. We've got 2 of them. Okay, Paisley, how about some nouns? You have 2 nouns to look for.
Is our one?
It is. That's a good one. Yes.
Both.
Not both. Look right before that.
Inch.
Yes. So inch, here's a little clue. This is a good example. A lot of times the noun has an article before it. An hour, an inch. Sometimes it'll have an adjective before it too. So usually though, there's an article nearby. So that was good, Paisley. And then we got 3 pronouns, Abby. What are the pronouns here?
Would it be both, they, and neither?
You're right. And that's a tricky one. Very good. So neither is an unusual pronoun. Usually we say his, hers, they, them, or something like that. But because you're talking about the verb budged, and if you ask yourself who budged, that's also your subject, but you would, that verb, I mean, that pronoun neither refers to the sentence before, which would have been part of your homework last week, whoever they're talking about in that sentence. So it is referring to another noun from a past sentence. And then both, the same thing, referring to whoever they're talking about from before. And then they, good. Prepositional phrase, Bronx, what do you think? Prepositional phrase.
After an hour.
Yes, very good. After is the preposition, and then it always ends on a noun, usually ends on a noun. So after an hour is the prepositional phrase, very good. Then the adverb clause, Paisley, starts with an adverb. And let's go ahead and write this in, just a little reminder here, www.asia.b. And feel free to make these kinds of notes in your homework too, just to help you remember. What do you think, Paisley?
Where they had begun.
Good, excellent. So we're going to mark it with parentheses and we're going to put AC for adverb clause. Done with that. Main clauses. So Bronx, this is the main clause, has a subject verb pair. Where's the first main clause? There's 2 of them. Don't forget to unmute.
After both. Like after an hour, neither had budged an inch.
Okay, so we're not going to include the prepositional phrase actually. So it would start right here. Neither had budged an inch. Sometimes we find the subject verb pair first, and that sometimes does help, but we'll see if we can do it backwards this time. And then what do you think the other main clause is?
Stood, began.
It would actually be both stood. Because remember, the clauses and the phrases are not part of the main clause. Does that make sense? So that'll help you. If we've already got the prepositional phrase, that's not part of the main clause. And then this adverb clause is not part of it either. So, so it's just both stood and then neither had budged an inch. All right, so Abby, help me find the verbs. We'll start with that.
Budged,
Yes.
stood,
Yes.
and would begun be the other one?
Begun. Yep. And there's also a couple of helping verbs.
Oh, had.
Had budged and
Had begun.
had begun. Good. Okay, so all those are the verbs. Now, Abby, since we have the verbs, now we need to find the subject. So who's the subject in this first sentence?
Neither.
Good. It's the pronoun neither. And then how about this one here?
Both.
Both. And then inside the clause, there's another subject here.
They.
Yeah, they. So this one, remember the clauses, the main clauses have subject verb pairs, and then the adverb clause also has a subject verb pair. Okay, that was good. That was a lot. And then we've got an opener. So Bronx, do you remember our opener numbers? If you don't, you can look back in the front of your book. Oh, you don't have your book. Just kidding.
I think it's 1, 2, and 3. That
1,
are
2,
the
and
numbers.
3. Okay, what's the first one?
After.
After. So what kind of an opener is this?
1, a subject, I think.
No, we don't have it labeled as a subject, but we do have it labeled as a prepositional phrase. So this is a preposition, remember?
Okay.
So prepositional opener is in number 2.
Okay.
Prepositional. And then Paisley, what kind of an opener is this next? By the way, let's just fix the punctuation. We need to take out that comma and insert a period, and it's just a blob with my pen, but you know what I'm doing. So take out that comma and it needs to be a period. And so the new sentence says both stood where they had begun. What's the opener for this one, Paisley?
Subject.
Good. Do you remember what number it is?
1.
Good. You got it. Indent. So this is going to be a new paragraph right here. Go ahead and put your paragraph symbol like this. Because it's a new scene after an hour. So it's a new time, basically. Remember the rules about starting a new paragraph is if you start, if the setting changes, if the time changes, if the characters change, or the conversation changes, those are all reasons to start a new paragraph. So when you go to copy it down here, make sure you indent for that. And we took out the comma. Oh, capitals, you guys could do that. There's 2, there's 1 here, and then the new sentence. We already got that end mark, and then we need a period here. Okay, I kind of went fast at the end there, but you guys have any questions about this page? Nope. Okay, good. All right, done with that. Okay. I have not had a chance to grade your homework yet. Honestly, I'm a little behind because we've been prepping, as I said, for this colossal storm. And yeah, we've had a roof leak. The last time we had a storm, we had 2 leaks in our roof. So we've had that issue to take care of. And then our pipes froze. Even though we have a system to protect it from freezing, it's still, anyway, so we've had lots of issues. And I'm getting 2 cows today, so that's the good news. So I got to get their place ready. Anyway, all that to say, I'm going to grade your homework, but it's not there yet. So I know for your homework you did Captain Cook. So I'm looking forward to reading what you wrote for that. As far as your report, we've been learning about taking information from an article and then pulling out the facts that we find interesting or relevant or important, making that keyword outline based on the information we want to put in our report is kind of an option of how you want to write it. Then using your keyword outline like we always do to write the paragraphs, and then plugging in all the little things that are on your checklist. So good job with working on that. We are now moving into the next unit. So what I want you to do is go ahead and get your binders out and put away your Captain Cook behind the finished compositions. Now, one of the pages that we had out was this pink page of the LY adverbs. This one here was one we had out, 71. You can start putting these types of lists behind the stylistic techniques tab, this one here. Stylistic techniques are all of your lists, like your LY adverbs, and I think we had some other lists, mostly LY adverbs, I think. So basically that pink page can go there. We have other lists back there. And then, as usual, your Captain Cook stuff can go behind finished compositions. So that would be basically the original story, Captain Cook. This page that we never really use, that can go with it. Your checklist, your keyword outline, any notes that you have on writing a report. We did that way back a while ago. And then of course your paragraphs. So basically everything else related to Captain Cook can go back there. Now you should have the drone unit next. Sorry, I hear a lot of commotion in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but my husband's here, so hopefully he's taking care of it. This one. This is week 10. We talked a little bit about this, writing from pictures. So this should be, you know, in the front of your binder, ready to go. We talked about this last week, going over some questions. So have all of this handy because we're going to move on to this part of the lesson. But we do have some banned words to talk about. Now, I think I mentioned them last week, but did you guys make a list for good and bad already on your banned words list? That should be, see if I can find mine here. It should be kind of a flesh colored page. Let me see if I can find mine here. And it's a banned adjectives list. Do you guys have that one? And for some reason, I don't see mine either. So hold on a second. I know I had it. Ah, here it is, this one. It should be page 95. You guys have that one? 95. And do you, Abby, do you have good and bad written down here yet or not yet? Not yet. Okay, let's do that. This is page 95 from your binder. We have a blue page that's a banned list. Those are verbs. Remember, like say, said, seesaw, think, thought, eat, ate, go, went. We have that on a different list, but we're going to start a new list of banned words now. And you guys are probably starting to see the pattern. Go ahead, Bronx.
I don't see it in here.
Okay, I think we took it out of our binder last week, so I'm hoping it's at the front. So check at the very front. Do you have yours, Paisley? Paisley, can you hear me? I don't know if she can hear me. Paisley. Can you hear me, Paisley? Can you hear me okay?
Mrs. Cisneros, are you talking? Because I can't hear you.
I am. I was wondering, can you hear me now? Go to the chat. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. How about you, Abby? Can you hear me okay? Okay. Maybe she hit mute or something. I don't know. Do you want to try logging back in? That's weird because I think I can hear you. Now maybe it's her internet. Can you hear me yet? You can, but now I can't hear you. That's weird. I'm telling you, there's one cloud in the sky. That darn cloud is in the wrong spot. I don't know, Paisley. So you can hear me, right? Okay. But I cannot hear you anymore. And I noticed you're not muted. So you can try logging back in, or we can just try to get through with chat. It's up to you, Paisley, because let's see, we got 30 minutes. So okay, Bronx, did you find your page 95? No, you did not? Uh-oh. Okay, go ahead and just get out a lined piece of paper then, and you can make your list. And then when you find it, you can transfer it to the list. Okay, basically what this list is for is you're taking weak adjectives, like boring adjectives, and you're going to make a list of better words to use. So in the first box, I just want you to put the word good. In the second box, I want you to put the word bad. So we're going to focus on those two words. They're weak adjectives to explain something. So let's think of other words that are better to use. What's something that we could use for good? You can just unmute and tell me some ideas. We'll make a list together.
Excellent.
Good. Yes. Excellent. What else? Let's see if Paisley's coming back in here.
Great.
Good. Yep. Marvelous. Oh, I think I hear you, Paisley. Unmute and say hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yay, we have conquered. Woohoo. Okay. We are making a list here of better words to use than good. So good is a weak adjective. These are better. Any other ideas, Abby or Bronx? There's lots of them. Wonderful.
Amazing.
Yep. Amazing.
Incredible.
Good. Fantastic. All right, we'll keep that list.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes, good. And I think we have that one already right here, but that is a good one. And you can add to this. By the way, whenever you come across a word, you can just add it to your list. And then always another good idea is to look for synonyms for good. on thesaurus.com. That's another place. All right, how about for bad? Tell me some other words we can use instead of bad.
Terrible.
Yes,
Horrible.
yes. Made me think of terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Remember that story from Alexander? I think it's Alexander. Alexander and the terrible, horrible, very bad day, or something like that. What else? What's another one? Awful. What if you had like a bad cold or something? What if you felt bad? What's a word you could say for that?
Horrific.
Oh, yes. We could say like a severe cold or something. Or severe, we could even talk about weather, severe weather, right? Bad weather, severe weather. Miserable. Lousy. Kind of an old word. Some people use that still. Okay, we'll stop there on that one too, but just know that these are now added to your checklist. So you cannot use good or bad anymore. And you probably see the pattern now of this program. We're just going to keep adding. So you have the basic backbone is we're reading articles, we're making outlines. And then when you go to write, this is where like the meat of the program is, trying to stay away from boring words and then making sure to add dress ups to your writing. We're going to keep working on that each time. Okay, so that's it for quality adjectives. You can keep this either. Well, let's just start using the new tab. That's the stylistic techniques tab in the back. No, just kidding. There's one that says banned words. I forgot. Banned words. You can put this behind the banned words list tab. That way you know where it's at. All right. Let's see. So those are considered quality adjectives, by the way. Look at your checklist really quick for this one on page 97. This is the drone one. Your checklist, this is 97. Has a new dress up here. Now, hopefully this page is in the very front of your binder, but do you remember your stylistic techniques page? Hold on, I gotta find mine too. I think it's yellow. I know it's yellow. And
Is it this one?
yes, good, Bronx. Yes. Oh, I know why, because okay, so I've got 2 level B classes going on. I've got one that just started. That's where it's at. It's got to be there. Yes, here it is. I got it. I'm good. We are adding a new dress up to this list. This is page 21. I think we've been keeping it at the front of your binder. And the new one is quality adjective. That's going to be we're on number 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So number 5, go ahead and write in here quality adjective. So now you've got 5 things to watch for. And basically the list that we used on our banned adjective list for good and bad, those that we have under those words are considered quality adjective. And I think I told you last time too, the little trick about your ly adverb list, your pink list, you can use that for adjectives too if you take off ly. When you have an ly, it becomes an adverb. But if you take off the ly, those are also quality adjectives. So when you're describing a noun in your paragraphs that you're writing, instead of just using like weak adjectives like big or nice or good or bad or something like that, you're going to use more descriptive quality adjectives. So basically it gives the reader an image, a better, more clear image of what's happening or what the noun is that you're talking about. So make sure you pay attention to that. And then you can also look those up on your thesaurus.com. If you can't think of a good word to use other than big, you can look up what's another word for big, and that'll help you find some good quality adjectives. So that is new. And let's look at page 93 next. This stylistic techniques page, the yellow page, I've been having you keep it at the front of your binder. There is a tab that does say stylistic techniques. If you want to put it back behind that tab, that's okay with me, as long as you know where it's at. And I'm speaking to myself as well, so I know where mine's at now. Let's look at page 93. Back to this. We talked about this a little bit last week. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. Okay. Last week, did we actually write down some things here last week? Do you have anything for this first one? Roman numeral 1. Okay, good. And this, from here on out, we're going to talk about it, but I want you to put your own keywords on your own outline, because it can be, all of ours are going to be different. Okay, but we're going to brainstorm together. And I remember talking about this one, and we had some words like opened and present and birthday, and we thought maybe it could be a just because gift or something like that. And then go ahead, Bronx.
Oh, and unit 5000
That's right.
super cam.
That's right. We came up with a cool name for what we think is inside there. All right, so let's look at Roman numeral 2. We're going to move on to that part. And remember, the central fact means what's literally happening in the picture. So literally in that picture, tell me some key words that maybe we can list there. What's actually happening in that picture?
Possibly flying, because he's
Possibly.
looking up.
Yep, he's looking up. He's flying something. Abby, and what else do you see in the picture? Who else is in the picture, you think?
His family is watching him.
His family's watching him. Looks like he's outside. So did you guys pick a name for this guy yet, this kid? I think I talked about the name Billy. Is that what
I put Billy.
You put Billy? Okay. And you can, when you go to write your own story, you can change his name if you want, because I want you to make it, whatever you want to make it. So I'm going to stick with Billy since we started with Billy. And I'm just going to put Billy, and I'm going to put flew, because that is what he's looking up. And he's got this remote in his hands. And I'm just going to call it a drone. I think we called it the Unit 5000 Super HD Video Spy Drone or something like that. Okay, so that's, remember, these central facts are what's literally what we see in the picture. All right, now let's start brainstorming a little bit. Who else is in the picture? Abby said his family, so let's go ahead and put family. This is where, right here, 1 to 5, you're going to answer those big 6 questions. Remember how we talked about, in order to access thoughts in our head, we have to ask ourselves questions. That's how we access information. So like, who is in the picture, his family, What are his family doing? What's a keyword we can say for what they're doing, the family? What are they doing? Did you say it, Abby?
Watching.
Watching, yeah. Watching, good. And anything else we can say about maybe what else is their family is? Maybe what are they thinking? They look kind of, the little brother looks like, dude, that's cool, man. I wish I had one of those. Because he looks like a little brother, maybe. Or it could be sister, it's hard to tell.
The family, I think the family looks like happy for him.
Yeah, okay. What would be another word other than happy? Like, if you got something excited, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, good one. I'll put excited. Because they're excited for Billy. All right. Now use your imagination a little bit. And he's having fun and he's flying and he's looking up. What's a possibility? We take a sneak peek down here, but what's a possibility? Where is he flying? And do you think he's doing tricks with the drone? Is he doing loops or spirals, or what do you guys think? What's some ideas on what he could be actually doing while he's flying?
And the third one?
No, we're still on this one.
Oh.
But I took a sneak peek here just because we can see something happens. But we're not going to talk about that yet. But what could be happening before that moment in time? How is he flying, or where is he flying this drone? I think he's
Outside.
Outside, but do you think he's at well, he's at home. We see that, maybe, and we do see one tree. So do you think he's flying up above the trees, maybe?
Probably.
I think it'll work.
Maybe like he's flying maybe high, maybe like 100 feet.
You know,
Maybe we'll say he's flying 100 feet up. He's probably in a neighborhood, I'm thinking. Is he flying over the houses, you think? Like around the neighborhood? Or maybe if there's a park across the street from his house, maybe he's flying over to the park. Maybe he's trying to spy on people at the park with his drone, with his camera on the drone. I don't know. What do you think, Paisley? Do you have any ideas of what he's doing with the drone?
Looking at the view from the camera.
Okay, could be. So let's do, he's flying high. Do you have any ideas, Paisley? I didn't want to cut you off. She said no. This is a hard one for me too, okay? I'm more of a practical, logical, methodical thinker. That's just me. That's how I am. And I love making lists. I love doing things tangible with my hands and stuff. I am not very creative. So this is difficult for me. And it's funny because our son, and both my son and my daughter are very creative, and my husband is very creative. So they both got that gene, creative gene. I don't have that. So if you're struggling with this, you're not alone. Some of my students can just make up these wild stories about, I don't even know, like it gets caught in a cloud or disappears into the fog, and then he's not sure where it ends up. And then he ends up flying over to I don't know, some stadium somewhere where they're having a concert, and it crashes in the middle of the concert stage and the singer trips over it and breaks her ankle. I mean, it's like, whoa, how did you come up with that? So I struggle with this, all right? But that's what I want to get your juices kind of going in that direction. Like really think outside the box, not so practical, logical, but try to, maybe he lives across the street from Disneyland and he's landing on the castle, the magic castle in Small World or something. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so I just put over houses, but this is where if you want to get a little more outside that box than me, feel free to do that. If you're like me and you're like, man, I don't know, you can copy what I have. That's okay. Okay, so let's think. He's flying over the houses. I'm gonna say, how fast is he going? Do you think he's flying fast, or you think he's kind of hovering? What do you guys want to put for that?
Fast.
Fast, of course, Bronx, fast. He's flying fast. That could be part of the trouble that's ahead. And
Mrs. Cisneros,
yes.
I can't hear you again.
What? Oh no. I don't know what to do about that. Let me see. I'm so sorry. Maybe try logging in again. Sorry, guys. Okay. What do you think? Where is he flying? Oh, he's flying over the houses. Do you guys want to have something nearby, like a stadium or like Disneyland, or what do you think? Give me some ideas here. Maybe a baseball stadium. Ooh, that would be a good one. What do you think, Abby?
I like the baseball stadium.
Yeah, okay. Because then that would be kind of fun to have it. Can you hear me now, Paisley? Okay, I don't know what's going on. That's weird. But if you have to log out and log back in again, then I know what's going on. I'll just let you do it, okay? All right, baseball. We decided it's going to go over to the baseball stadium. We're not going to talk about this next. We can have some ideas though, thinking ahead about the baseball stadium, but we're still thinking he's happy. He's maybe what kind of stunts is he doing with this drone? What kind of stunts can he do?
Circles.
Loops, circles. Okay, I like loops. Dive, dives. I don't know, dive. We'll just keep it dive. Dive is like straight down. How about like spiral? Now, notice we have a number 5, and I can't remember if we put one for number 5 up here, but we can stop at 4. If you're kind of like, yeah, that's as good as I can get right there, it's okay to stop at 4. Go ahead and just put parentheses around 5. If you have more that you think of, like if you ever have those nights in the middle of the night, you wake up and you go, I know, I know what it can do. And then you can write it down. But let's move on to this next one. This is where we can start having fun with this one. And remember, the central fact is literally what's happening in the picture. So what are some keywords for what we see literally here?
Sad, well, shocked.
Okay, shocked. I like that. We're talking about Billy and his family. Shocked. All right, now what do you think happened? Why are they shocked?
It might have crashed.
Crashed. Okay, so that's a good one. Let's think about leading up to the crash. What could have caused the crash? What could have caused the crash?
Maybe a baseball flew out of the stadium and hit it somehow.
That's a good one. Yes, I like that because they're at the baseball stadium. All right, so what are those called? What are they called when they hit the bat, but the ball goes not where they want it to go? Do you remember what kind of ball that's called?
Foul.
Foul. Yeah, is that what you were going to say, Paisley? Or is it fly ball? Is that what they call it? A fly ball?
I'm pretty sure it's just foul ball.
Foul ball. All right. Let's put that foul ball. And before it hits the drone, okay, there's a foul ball and maybe he can see it coming. What are some keywords we can put for what he's doing at that point? He sees the ball, he sees his drone. What is he trying to do?
Probably run away from it.
Run away from it. Or maybe like, I was thinking maybe avoid it. Or
Yeah,
yeah. What did you say, Bronx?
fly away or yeah.
Yeah. Dodge. Okay. As he's dodging this foul ball, what happens next? I think the foul ball, we talked about it eventually hitting it, but we can even change that. So let's say he's flying, he's having a good time, and oh no, I see this foul ball coming. He's dodging, he's getting out of the way. What happens next as he's dodging and getting out of the way of the fly ball?
It gets crushed.
It gets crushed. I think we got to save the actual accident till probably 3. So let's give a little more detail leading up to that accident. Maybe what if he's there's some birds there, too. And now all of a sudden he's got this flock of geese that are traveling south for the winter, something like that. Do you guys like that idea? All right, flock of geese, geese. I'll just put S for south. They actually do that because in the north, usually that's where the cold is and they fly south. In Tehachapi, I know Paisley and Abby are here. They're not usually geese, but we do see the birds. Usually they're either the blackbirds or even, usually they're blackbirds, I think. Have you guys seen them do that where they migrate? And it's you've seen it?
Here, there's a lot. They fly over here a lot.
It's crazy.
Especially in like the parks and stuff.
Yeah. And when you see them, when they're just like thousands of them and it's kind of creepy. If you've ever seen that movie, The Birds, I think it's just called Birds. It's an old black and white movie. And sometimes those old black and white movies are creepier, before all the CGI stuff and all that. I mean, I don't know, your parents have probably seen it, but okay, I have to tell you one story. Darn it, we're out of time, but let me just tell you. On my wedding day, my brother thought it was hilarious to dump a whole bucket of bird seed. I guess it's a thing, throw rice and stuff where you're like at a wedding, but not anymore because rice will hurt the birds or whatever. Well, so now it's bird seed, you throw bird seed so that's not damaging to the birds or whatever. So he thought it would be hilarious to just dump a whole bucket. It was like in my scalp, it was in my ears, it was all inside my dress. It was like awful. Okay, at the end, of course, this is totally a brother thing, classic. So it was funny because he ran out to my car after the reception and I was like, oh, he's bringing me something, and he was kind of like walking toward me like he was all nice. And I was like, hey, and so the window was down and he dumped it in my car. Well, we went to Cambria for our honeymoon and we went to the castle there, Hearst Castle. That was just kind of a fun thing that we did on our honeymoon. We went to this Hearst Castle to tour it and stuff. Well, we get in the parking lot and I accidentally left the lights on. You're going to love the story. Okay. It gets better. So I accidentally left the lights on because it was foggy that day. Came back, our battery was dead. And so we're sitting there, we have the doors open. And I bet you can imagine what happens next. and we're waiting for somebody to help jumpstart the car because the battery's dead. And we're just sitting there hanging out and hoping somebody will help us. And I am not kidding. It was the creepiest thing. This is before I was bummed because I didn't get it on video. That would have been really cool and creepy. But there was a giant flock of birds that came into the car while we were like, it happened so fast and we're like screaming and smacking the birds and stuff. It was the creepiest thing. It's giving me chills just thinking about it because I remember it like yesterday. These birds were going after the bird seed. It just felt like that movie, like, we're gonna die. The birds are gonna peck out our eyeballs. We're gonna die. I will never forget that. And, you know, I was able to get my brother back, just in case you were wondering, because I got into his car and I got into his visors, you know, the sun visors that pop down. And I put this little, like a booby trap in there full of bird seed for him. I gave back some of the bird seed and I put a little piece of, I think I used foil or something. I don't know. I filled it and I just barely closed the lid or the actual visor. So when he got in there for work the next day, he pulled down his visor and it just went boosh, all over the front of him. So got him back. All right. I went long, but hopefully that story was worth it. Your homework is you're going to finish this now. Okay. And you're going to tell what happened to the drone, and you're going to come up with your own keywords for this. And then you can even think about what happens after this picture to add here. You can stop at 4 if you can't think of any more. So you can put parentheses around the 5. And then you're going to write your story. This should be pretty easy because this is kind of made up fun stuff. Use your checklist. And like I said before, you're going to actually physically check your list and submit that as part of your homework too, okay? Don't forget the topic clincher that we've added here. And then you got to give it a good title, okay? So you're going to get creative, write your story, use your checklist, and then of course your grammar pages. All right, so that's it for today, unless you have any questions. Anybody have any questions? Abby?
So for the clincher, is it just like we used to do where we repeat or reflect 2 to 3 words from the first sentence?
Correct. And so that's true for each one of these. And notice they left you a little reminder here. So each paragraph has its own topic clincher sentence. And then remember that last clincher sentence for the last paragraph has 2 jobs. And it tells you that right here on this page. It reflects 2 to 3 keywords from the central fact, which is that first sentence. And it has the title words in it too. That makes sense, Abby? Okay, good. Any other questions? Watch out for those birds out there. You never know. All right, you guys, see you next week. Have a good one.
So
Bye.
Bye, Bronx.